No worries. I think we are live now with
Hey,
Labonita. Happy New
hello.
Year, Labonita.
Happy New Year,
Hello.
Luke. How's it going?
I'm really super good. I'm just double checking that we are. I'm just gonna like share it on my page too, um, so that everybody can see us.
Cool.
Let's just start. Happy New Year to you, Labonita. How's everything going?
All right. I mean, obviously, we're back in lockdown again. So, yeah, everything's good otherwise.
Yeah. How was the holiday time for you?
It was okay. It was quiet. But I suspect most people had a quiet one. Yeah. How was yours?
Yeah, mine was actually really super nice. I had no complaints, apart from the fact now that it's like January 5th and I'm starting to come down with that cold.
Mm.
And it's someone was talking to me last night. They said, Nick, you look really crappy. So,
Oh,
because
no.
I'm all bunged up and I feel
Yeah.
like I've got the chills. I know it's not COVID because I can taste and smell. And I don't have a cough. It's just a runny nose, but I am actually going to go for a COVID test anyway
Okay.
after we do this, just to kind of,
Yeah.
I want to get one done. I want to see what it's like,
Yeah.
and be safe. But it was a really good holiday time, and I think that it was a good time for reflection to see what 2020 was all about, and
Yeah.
how we kind of got through the lockdowns, and then all of a sudden to be launched into another one. But for the Elephant and Castle community, Labonita, can you explain to people, what you do and how you got to where you are?
Okay, so I co-own Temple of Strength, which is a personal training studio with group fitness classes. So we have yoga, Pilates. I'm a personal trainer myself. I'm also a yoga teacher. And this project of Temple of Strength has been, God, in the making of it took about 3 years, 2 to 3 years before it came to be established. And yeah, so that's basically my background, fitness. And prior to that, I worked in TV.
I want to know, because one thing that came out when I got to know you is that you also are a black. You do Taekwondo. You're a black belt in Taekwondo.
Yeah, I'm a black belt. Yeah, I haven't practiced in
Yeah.
years. So I got it when I was a
Can you
child.
can you tell me how tough you are? Can you beat up Jason?
Shall we have a fight? Once lockdown's over, come over, we'll have a fight.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I actually don't teach it. I didn't take it any further. Once I got my black belt, I didn't take it any further. Martial arts is more Jason's field than mine. I don't teach it.
What made you want to get into martial arts when you were younger?
I didn't have a choice. I was a child, so my family forced me into it. They've all got black belts, so my whole family's got black belts. Even my son has a black belt as well. So
Wow, tell me what it was like to grow up in a family of martial artists.
do you know what it was normal for us. It was only once you start mingling with other people, then it's like you realize, oh, actually this isn't that normal. But yeah, it was because I'd seen everyone else get one. It was kind of normal it was expected of you to get one as well. So it was part of life.
I'm really interested, like I to know about like the art of like some kind of martial arts, mixed martial arts. You also do yoga. It's a lot of like body expression, and a lot of people think that mixed martial arts or taekwondo or karate, they're all about like kind of being able to protect yourself. Are there, like, what other elements were it too, like in terms of how you've kind of grown into, like, because I know you guys have a lot of spiritual aspects to what you teach and with your yoga, but what was that development like when people kind of initially think that, think something's about striking, or, it could be seen as violent or something?
Yeah, no, it's nothing to do with violence. It's more like it's such a big discipline. It's more discipline than anything. And the thing is, after I left Taekwondo as an adult, I joined. Oh, Temple's here. Hello, Temple. I joined. Hey, that's Jason. Say hello to Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Nick,
Happy New Year, buddy.
Mate? You all right?
Oh, good. We're live. We're live at the What's on it Elephant and Castle Facebook again.
Yeah,
Sorry, say that again.
We're live on the What's on it Elephant and Castle Facebook.
Ah, hello everybody.
So yeah, as an adult, I joined a calisthenics crew. which is like street gymnastics. So I always feel like every single discipline that I did, from as a child doing taekwondo, doing calisthenics, learning yoga, they all have lots of things in common, even though they're completely different practices. They all had the one thing in common, that was like discipline and the word practice, consistency. And it's a discipline to sort of get yourself to do that on a regular basis over and over and over again, in order to be better at it or good at it, to take yourself to like the next level and the next level up. So and to stay at that level as well. So I know for a fact, now that I teach yoga, if I actually don't practice it myself, I will lose a lot of what I teach and as far as I've come. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. And I like the idea of the youth today, you know, where everyone thinks that because they're playing some kind of Mortal Kombat or something like that on a computer game, that they're learning some kind of discipline. But I just think, you know, like I grew up in a very athletic household, as you know, and sport was kind of always my expression. But you know, nowadays, like it seems like children, especially with lockdown, you know, they're having a hard time being able to express themselves other than, you know, through video games. And it just seems like, I'm not saying that we're breeding a culture of video game people, you know, but things are definitely shifting, of not being able to go outside, not being able to become physically active, not being able to learn how to kind of operate with our bodies. Because I know, and I know you teach this, is that our body is an expression of who we are. And a lot of people just don't, we forget about that, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. And like learning taekwondo as a kid, it taught me a lot about having to show up, just the simple things as like showing up on time, and being hello Temple's trying to eat the phone. Temple's the dog, by the way.
You have to show Temple. Yeah, everyone's going, what's Temple?
Just a matter of like just a simple discipline of turning up on time, wearing uniform, showing respect to your instructor, you know, just little things like that. It got taught without having to be at school, without having to have that formal setting, and it was done. And at the same time, you were learning the art of an ancient, do you know what I mean, practice, which is what taekwondo is. It's less about having to fight on the street. It's more about the art of it, really. So yeah.
I found that too. You know, when I was like 12 years old, I remember I came home from school and I saw my sisters doing something that they shouldn't be doing. They were smoking cigarettes, and I was like, I'm gonna tell Dad on you. I'm gonna tell Dad on you. And my middle sister, who's like 18 months older than me, actually, she came at me because she's like, don't you tell Dad. And she was like,
wow.
She kind of pushed me, and I made a fist like I was going to hit her. And inside of me, like, how can I hit my sister? And I ran upstairs and I cried. And my dad came home and he said, you know, what was that like to feel angry like that? And I was like, I was just so angry. And I didn't tell him what I think it all came out. But he took me down to a local boxing club.
Yeah.
And I got into this ring. I didn't know what I was doing. And all of a sudden I started to learn the discipline of boxing. And it was through that, I just learned kind of how to be able to express an emotion, like an anger emotion, when we're in our early teens. I learned how to express it and to learn how to control it. And you know what? I never got a fight in the schoolyard or on the street, because I just didn't find that anger. And I just think that it's a discipline that I do wish that more children had access to.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think it's being able to sort of channel your anger, but I also think it gives someone a level of confidence as well. So, you know, we touched on the fighting thing, even though you probably wouldn't get into a fight because you managed to channel your anger. But I also feel like if you were put in that situation, a lot of it is confidence. So those sort of disciplines kind of install that sort of confidence in you. So that if you ever find yourself in that situation, you know how to handle yourself.
Definitely learning how to throw a punch in ice hockey helps out a lot.
Exactly. So knowing yourself that you can do that generally keeps you out of trouble anyway, because more than likely you won't be picked on to an extent, right? So Yeah.
No, I think
and
that
I do
we're living
think,
in a world.
I do think you're right. I think a lot of, especially now because of the situation in the world, I think a lot of children, young people, won't be able to have that. You know, that's been taken away from them for a bit. Yeah.
What would, can you briefly talk about your career before you started Temple of Strength? I kind of want people to kind of get an understanding of the boxes and constraints that we can fit ourselves into actually until we find a purpose.
Yeah,
You know?
I worked in TV for years. I started off in television. I started off as a journalist. I worked for a program called GMTV. I think it still exists, but it's called something. I think it's called Good Morning Britain now.
Yeah,
but it used to call GMTV and ITV. So I started off there. I started low-level journalist, worked up to broadcast journalist. Then I went on to ITN News at 10. Then I became assistant news editor at Channel 5 News. Then I shifted career. I kind of walked away from journalism and went into the production side of it. And I worked in cameras, and I worked in the gallery where the director is. I worked as an assistant producer. And then the industry started changing because this was the early noughties. So I could see the industry slowly changing. Everything was becoming automated. TV wasn't as popular anymore. YouTube rose, and so things started to shift, and I was in that wave of everything shifting. When I first started off in TV, we used to have a crew of, well, you must know, you might need a crew of 12, 15 people. By the end of my career, we only needed like 4 or 5 at the most. Yeah, so many people were getting cut. So I thought I needed more technical skills, which is why I went in that direction. And then I realized that contracts were getting shorter and shorter. So I felt like I needed another plan. I needed to do something else. So I slowly went and became a personal trainer first. Then I went and became a yoga teacher. I actually did my yoga teacher training with Jason. We did it together. I kept it in my back pocket. I didn't actually do anything with it for ages. And then I joined CNN on a show called Bleacher Report. It might be, do you know it? Yeah. Yes, I worked in football TV, and that was my last straw. And I made that decision then that if I get made redundant from here, then I'll move into fitness full time. And after 2 years, the whole team got made redundant. And I thought, right, now's my time. And I wasn't ready. I actually didn't feel like I was ready. When I first became a personal trainer, I wasn't entirely sure if this was exactly for me. It took me a little while. It didn't click straight away. I was unsure because I enjoyed being in TV. So it wasn't that I hated my job and I wanted to do this. But then now, I love it. It's everything.
I know you love it. I can feel it. And I love your place and everything. But I liked what you were talking about, how industries change and how, in the TV world, budgets in the 90s were like crazy high, and you could have like you say, you could have a sound man, a grip, a runner, and all these things.
A runner
and
for a runner.
Yeah, exactly. And now you see like these people like outside Buckingham Palace that are doing news reports, and it's just one person, and they have to set up their own camera, they have to do their own lights, they have to do their own sound, and it's crazy. I'm kind of glad that I got out what I did, because I used to get looked after. But it's funny how industries change and how we have to learn how to adapt, right? Always have a plan.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm thinking though, like about that time where, like, is it still something that, where you enjoyed what you were doing, but was there something calling you to go into like personal training? Was there, apart from the fact that it was a living, was there a calling that you were really having around that purpose?
Yeah, I mean, I've always trained, and I always had a PT myself for most of my life. I've always had pockets of hiring a personal trainer. For years, on and off. And then I think working with quite a good few personal trainers, it kind of did make me think. I really enjoyed my time there as a client. I like the feeling that I had. It was like the best part of my week, having my PT session. And I thought, if this is how a client can feel when they're with a trainer, I'd like to be able to provide that, if that makes sense. So, and it's well, you were a client, so it's like, I guess for me, whenever I used to train twice a week with my PT, and that was like the best 2 hours of my week, despite whatever was going on. That was my best 2 hours of the week, and I always felt like if I became a personal trainer, I would like my clients to feel that way, to spend that time with me. So, you forget all your troubles, you leave that behind, you come and you're focused on yourself for that whole hour. You're working just for you, and nothing else really matters. Do you know what I mean? And whether you're working on your strength or your mobility or your flexibility or whatever your goal is, just managing to achieve that, it's I don't know, it's a feeling that you can't really describe. So I think that was probably more of my reason to go into this than anything else. But that took a while. It didn't come immediately, because you have to fight when you're a PT and you're thrown into this sort of big gym, which is what I was. I went into a massive gym. You don't find the right people, because you have to work with the right people. The clientele have to be the correct type of clientele. So if you're training a certain way, but the client's mindset is completely different, and it's not a match, it doesn't work. So just to find the right tribe, I guess, took a little while as well. But then once you find it, it's the best thing in the world.
Since I moved away and moved to Soho, away from you guys, I've felt the loss. I felt the bereavement of the fact that you because everything for me, like what I'm trying to teach people and show through my experiences, things take time. Like wherever you are in your life, if you want to make a change, things take a little bit of time to get used to something. And for me, working with Jason, I worked with him for 3 months. There was a connection that happened. It wasn't right away, but it happens over weeks, and then a couple months, and then all of a sudden you find this bond. So I had this bond with you guys, and it was this bond from. But you guys have multiple people to bond with. How do you guys deal with that? With kind of being able to switch on with this client likes these certain things, and he needs to be talked to a certain way, and she needs to be talked to a certain way. Like, how do you file it all in your head, all these people that you have to manage?
I think it's connection. You make that connection with someone, and you kind of, once you start working with them, you kind of see what they enjoy, what they don't, what their issues are, where their insecurities are, what they're going through. And I think it's just energy as well, isn't it? That what that person brings, and how you bring yourself to them. I think that's how I guess that's would you say that's right? Yeah, I think Jason's nodding. So and Lee's laughing. I think that would be the only way. I mean, as you say, there's so many people, you can't write notes on it. You just kind of have to have it there, and it's an energy that, like, someone who you get on with really, really well, and you have the best time with them, can one day just turn up and be in the most foulest mood, and have this almost like this dark cloud on top of their head as they walk into the studio. And then you find that if you keep the same level of energy that you always have with them, that disappears by the time they leave. And they even say it, like, oh, I came in feeling so awful, but I've left feeling better, and I feel better that I've actually forced myself to come, because they were almost going to cancel because they weren't feeling great. So
I think for people listening to this, they got to think, from a perspective of wanting to try something different. And for most people, like I'm imagining, when they want to try to go and see a PT, it's because of physical reasons. They're not happy with the way they look.
Yeah.
But really, that's probably just when you start actually doing it, kind of turns in it's like maybe 10-20% of it, whereas like the rest of it becomes about connection, about energy, about growth, about confidence, about compassion, and finding bonds. So I think it's just like, how do you tell people, like, I'm gonna work with you, yes, you're gonna look great, but you're gonna experience so many other things and so much other joy in your life?
Okay, so I don't take on clients who come to me for those reasons. That sounds kind of horrible, but it's because I'm not that PT who's gonna who's gonna give you a quick fix. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So
Yeah,
for me, it's I like to do skill-based training. So if you're coming to, like I say, 90% of my clientele are with me for skill-based stuff. So they're either with me for strength training, or they're with me to learn how to do a pull-up, handstand, and to lift weights. And I always tell them, if they're coming to me for weight loss, what will happen is they may lose weight initially, but they'll see a weight gain, as in they'll pack on muscle. So they've got to be comfortable with the fact that if they're someone who watched the scales, they're not really gonna like that. If they have a problem with the scales, that's not gonna work. So if someone comes to me saying, oh, you know, they literally just want to train for physical reasons, it's not a right match for me. Remember I said you need to find your right tribe. I personally wouldn't take them on.
Yeah.
That's probably not a great effort, but it's probably because for me it's more of I want people to understand you're training to see what your body's capable of, not how it looks, because you're only going to look like you. You're never going to look like whoever it is that you're trying to look like. You have to love the way you look, and what we can do, what I can help you with, is make you fall in love with what your body can do, rather than what you're trying to look like. And that's what it is. So if someone's
just blame Temple. Blame Temple.
Sorry. Yeah, so that's where my standing is. So I don't do the whole I'll transform you in 6 weeks and you're going to be a size 8. It's not my bag.
And that, Labonita, we live in this world now, you know, it's like 2021, and there's just so much pressure, especially on young people. And it's, you know, like, I don't want to blame any platform for it, but the Instagram culture of, like, you know, filters and diet fads, and it's all about this kind of physical thing where no one really kind of looks at the internal, you know? How do you kind of get people to, again, to realize that the, you know, like your spirit, you know, through working, you know, in this practice, yes, you get the benefits of loving your body. And I love how you said that, because we all are different. And for me, I had this huge journey of, it wasn't so much about like not liking my body. It just was about not liking me, you know? And I had so much self-deprivation and so much hatred towards myself that it took a long time to get to the point where I could look in the mirror, not because of the way I looked, but because of the actions that I was taking, the disciplines that I was learning to actually build some self-esteem. So it's not really about the way we look, it's about the actions that we take to fall in love with ourselves again. I love the way you said that. How do you kind of get people to get their heads around that when again, it's like all about you know, portraying an image rather than actually, you know, the relationship we have with ourselves?
It doesn't come instantly. So if someone does, I'm just going to put the music down a bit. I can hear now. If someone does have those thoughts, it doesn't go away. It takes a while. I think it comes from that training. Once you to training, when you like all those hormones get released, you know, the endorphins get released, and you start feeling better. That feeling, you want to, it's almost like a little bit of a high, you want to come back to it, but a good high, like a natural high, and you want to come back to that. And eventually, slowly, the person, it's just, again, it's that consistency word. Once they continue to do it, they understand that actually, this actually makes me feel good. It's not just, I'm just doing this for my health, or I'm doing this for a look or whatever. This actually mentally makes me feel good. It makes me feel powerful. And I always hope that whoever comes to train with me, because I do a lot of strength training, I hope that it does translate into their private life and their professional life. So whatever they do with me for an hour, even though it's mainly physical, I hope it translates up here and in here, that they can utilize that strength in the other aspects of life, whether it's their relationships, their professional life, the, you know, friendships, whatever, family life, whatever. And I think that takes a little bit of time. That doesn't happen immediately. You don't come to one session and it's like, oh my God, I feel great and everything's good. It takes a while. And that's what it is. Like once they start coming and it becomes a habit, developing that habit, it makes them understand that this is not just good for the physical aspect, it's actually good for up here. And that is when you retain your client as a personal trainer, that person understands the value of the training, that it's much more, because they can buy the dumbbells at home and they can buy the weights and they can set up a gym if they have enough money and space. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of it, it's that mental side of it. When that starts feeling good, then you know that, right, even despite the fact that I have a home gym, it's still worth coming here to train for an hour because the mindset is positive and the energy is good.
So something I want to get into now is that we've kind of looked at, you've talked about strength training and the physical aspect of things, but something that you've really kind of delved into over the last few months is nutrition, right? I know it's something that I've just seen through Instagram and through what you and Jason were doing. So let's get into nutrition, because this is a time now where people are locked down again. Physical activity is going to be limited to an hour, maybe a walk or a run or some kettlebells. How can people really start looking at, okay, I've got to go to the grocery store. I've got to be mindful of what I get. What are kind of the things where people are like, I need to feel better. What kind of foods can I put into my system that are going to do that?
Okay, so natural as possible. So, I mean, the thing is, food is a hard battle because even though we're in lockdown, all the fast food joints are open. So it's one of the, and when people are sad or they're feeling lonely, the first thing they turn to is comfort food or fast food. We all do it.
Guilty.
We've all done it. We all do it. I think, but the thing is, it's how it makes you feel afterwards. Is it really worth it? You know what I mean? Like, it's okay everything in moderation. Obviously, you can do it once in a while, and that's absolutely fine. Temple, do you need to go out? Sorry, I've just got to let the dog out.
No worries.
Do you need to go out?
This is what Margot's doing. Margot's just chilling.
Oh. Okay, let me open this door for you so you can go out. Come back though. Come back. Don't be out there for too long. So is it worth, having, because the thing is, sometimes you eat stuff like that, and although it feels great at the time, a few hours later you don't feel so good. Do you know what I mean? And it's not actually worth it, and then it makes you feel worse than before you even started eating it. So I think the best advice would be to stock up, make sure your fridge is full, make sure you meal prep, have enough meals ready there, so you're not tempted to go and buy the stuff that's not going to make you feel that good. But yeah, it's hard. It's a hard battle.
It is. I mean, I'm going to say I made a couple of trips to McDonald's recently. And and here, like where I live, I have to take my garbage out to the garbage, and I had 2 packs of two McDonald's bags, and my neighbor was like, "Nick, what are you doing?" And you don't even. I wasn't even thinking about it when I went to McDonald's. I was like, I haven't eten for a long time. I don't want to go home and prep something. I just need something quick and easy, and it's so easy. I'm just gonna grab a burger, and you're right. The things that you feel after, the shame that you feel too. It's just because we know that stuff isn't good for us. But I also can get lazy. How what are
you have to stock up. So on a day that you're free, the day that you must have some time off and some free time, that's the day that you need to go and do your shopping. You need to go to the supermarket then, whether you like or get online delivery or whatever it is that you need to do. Go and do your shopping, pack your fridge up, freezer as well. Pack your freezer up, pack your fridge up. Cook meals on the days that you're off. Batch cook 2-3 different types. Freeze, I'd say half of it, and keep some of it out, so that when you are hungry and you just don't have the time to go and cook and shop and cook and shop and all that sort of stuff, you can just put it in the microwave and it's there. So that would be my advice, that make sure that you always have your fridge stocked, and make sure meals in particular are cooked and there. And you don't have to eat it on the days that you've got time. Just keep it for an emergency. Keep it for the days that your McDonald's is more convenient.
I imagine that most people's metabolisms are personal to them. But now with lockdown, the one thing that I find is that I'm opening that fridge a lot. So even though I'm not hungry, but I'm bored. I've just Let's say
Yeah.
I've just done this, and I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to go to the fridge,
Yeah.
or I'm going to go to the pantry, and I'm going to pick the easiest things to pick are like crisps or nuts or something, and I'm just constantly doing it. And I know that they're not that good for me, but what are the things that you would kind of say, because I'm going to graze because I'm at home, what are the things that maybe would be a little bit more healthy to graze? You know, are 3 meals a day better? Is it better to kind of have 6 mini ones, or what?
Do you know what? It all depends on the person, on your habit, because some people can't handle 6 mini meals. I know there's this type that people say, oh, you should have 5 small meals or 6 small meals, and some people will say 3 meals and 2 snacks. It all depends on the person. So you know what I mean, like we all eat very, very differently. You know, as you said, metabolism is very personal and digestion is very personal. Some people can handle larger meals and some people can't. I eat in small portions throughout the day, whereas you know, I've got people that I know who eat much larger portions throughout the day, but less in quantity, if that makes sense. They'll only eat 3, whereas I might have 4 or 5. So that's all very personal. But I think what matters is the overall calorie intake. So I mean, I don't know how some people, it works for them tracking. So MyFitnessPal, you know, put everything that you eat, even if it's a biscuit, 1 cookie, just stick it in there, and then you'll see over time where your calorie intake's coming from. And then that can sometimes be a wake-up call, like, oh God, I'm eating way too many, you know, Jaffa cakes or whatever it is, you know, and I need to cut down on the crisps or something like that. And then that's where you can make your change. Some people aren't very good with tracking, but then they've also, maybe they've got to write it down. But I think you do, especially if you're living by yourself, the best thing is to sort of be accountable for your own actions in a way that works for you. I find MyFitnessPal is quite helpful, but if somebody who has if somebody does have issues with calorie count, because I've worked with lots of people with eating disorders, so it doesn't work for people like that. They would have to write things down and see it in a different way. So yeah.
So yeah, kind of having this holistic approach to a lockdown. So food, what kind of so food, just look into like calorie counting, and whatever suits you in terms of like making sure your fridge
about it. But I think I don't think anyone needs to be insanely religious about it. I think if you feel like you're eating slightly out of control and you are going to the fridge a bit more often than you normally are out of boredom, then I think tracking might be a way to sort of stop you from doing that, or might make you a bit more aware of what you're doing. So if you are inputting everything that you're eating on a daily basis, if you've had McDonald's for breakfast and then by afternoon you've gone into the fridge a couple of times, if you've put that down somewhere on your app, on your MyFitnessPal, it might make you a bit more aware that, oh, I've gone, do you know what I mean? I've gone slightly over, and it's only 2 o'clock and I've gone over my calorie range. So that might stop you in your tracks and might force you to go and do the shop and the meal prep. And I will always say, the more natural sources of food that you can provide for your body, the better it is for your body and your mind, because your mind's absorbing a lot of the chemicals that is being put in this fast food, if that makes sense. So if you cook, then at least you know what's going into the produce, and that just benefits you overall, mind and body.
It's probably not a time for intermittent fasting, is it?
No, I definitely wouldn't think so. No.
No. It's just it's just like, I can't do that. No, I can do it if I'm out and about. That's fine, because my mind's on something else. But now it's just like it's
not
just like,
now. Not if you're not moving. No. Not if your day isn't as normal as it normally would be. I would.
So I think those are really good tips around food. Maybe can we kind of do some stuff around like light, easy physical exercises to do around the house? Do you have any tips for things like that?
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is amazing. I mean, if you could just go on YouTube and find anything, you could find a HIIT workout, you can find yoga, you can find mobility stuff. There's so much. I mean, it's never been more easier, you know, to find stuff. It's whether the motivation is there to do it. But if you can just give yourself just 20 minutes every day of any kind of movement, and it doesn't have to be something fast and vigorous. It can be something quite slow and just just mobility work, just to keep your joints moving, because our bodies aren't supposed to be sitting down in a place and not moving the way we are. And modern lifestyle doesn't help because everything is so easily done for us, but we do need to move, and it doesn't matter how slow or fast, we do need to move. So if you can set yourself 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, everybody has that. I don't care what you do for a living. And you can find something on YouTube easily and just follow along, and it's there forever. You know, you can just play it the next day if you love it that much, or choose something completely different. But yeah, every day.
Every day, I agree. And one of the things in the first lockdown, I think like in April, I remember like someone said, do a 30-day yoga challenge.
Yes.
And that really helped me out. Yeah. And you literally put that into, you do 30-day yoga challenge. You'll find one or two that's suitable to you. But that, again, it gets the body moving. I did it first thing in the morning. But one of the things, Labonita, that really helped in that first one was the weather was nice.
Yeah.
You know, now it's like all kind of gloomy and it's dark in the morning. I mean, how do we get is there things that we can do to kind of change our mindset around that, when it's easy to maybe do a 30-day yoga challenge if the sun is out?
Done at home. I mean, you don't have to go out, really. You know, I mean, I would say everybody needs to go out and have a walk, but I know like the weather is awful and a lot of people won't want to do that. But I can't express how important fresh air is to a human being. But if walking outside is definitely a no, like maybe it's raining insanely and you just don't want to do it, you can do all this from your house. You can just put it on. We've got all access to this on our phones, iPads, laptops, everywhere. There's literally, there's nothing stopping you from being able to find a small space in your house and finding a space big enough for a mat, and you can do it just there. And as I said, it doesn't have to be anything too rigorous. It can be literally those 30-day yoga challenges, which are like, I think they're like 10 or 11 minutes long. Yoga with Cassandra. She's like a big YouTube yoga lady, and then her videos are amazing. Even people who hate yoga have enjoyed what she puts out. So
yeah, no, I would recommend that, like especially for, like, I find it like maybe men of around my age, like around 50 years old, we're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. That's a bit like kind of too kind of oofy woofy for me, but it really does help. It helps getting the joints going. It helps it. And I think it is just something that, you know, like you said, it can be, if you do a 15-minute one, a 30-minute one, 45, it still takes time out of your day when instead of you sitting thinking about food or doing something like, you know, that you don't want to be doing, you can actually be doing something that's constructive.
That's it, help you sleep better and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And the last kind of little bit that I want you to maybe kind of reflect on is, or give some kind of tips on, is the mindfulness aspect to all of this. You know, just to get out of the monkey brain for a little bit, and the fear brain and the anxiety and the uncertainty. What are the kind of some of the tips that maybe that people can have around, you know, just to calm the monkey brain? I think that's the best way to express it, like to get out of fear.
So being present, there's nothing, I think a lot of us aren't present. You know, like even forget lockdown, even when we didn't have lockdown and we were going through our lives, none of us were really, well, not none of us, but a lot of us aren't fully present in what we're doing. And it could be as simple as folding the laundry. We're not present. We're thinking about something else. We're not actually folding laundry so I think what exercise does is it makes you present. It forces you to be there. You know what I mean? And that is so beneficial for us to actually be present and being. Hello, Temple. God.
Everybody that sees, she's talking about Temple the dog. Let's see Temple. Can you show us? Is she around? Because she's the cutest little thing.
Ran that way. Being present, and that's what it is. It's even like having pets. You know, you have to be present. You have to be there with them, otherwise they bark at you. You know, so it's just being mindful of however small the task is, however mundane the task is. If you're present, it will help you stop thinking from whatever it is that you're trying to think of, your mind is trying to think about. And you also got to realize that your thoughts aren't you. Your thoughts aren't you. Whatever it is that especially if you have like insane, crazy thoughts, which I think most of us do have, that's not you. That's, you know what I mean? That's not you. Your thoughts are not you. I mean, it's good to think good thoughts, but you know, most of us don't.
I think the thing really, again, is going through another lockdown. We don't know how long it's going to be. Is I suppose the best advice is just stay connected with people, right?
Yeah.
You know, keep
Reach
your
out.
tribe digitally. Reach out to people. I know that I don't. You know, you can give me your details again, and I'll put them in the Facebook group.
Sure.
So if anybody needs to get in touch with you, and I think that's really the thing that I'm trying to get across to people is stay connected. You know, we have to isolate, of course, but we can be alone in our bodies, but not alone in our spirits. And we
Yeah.
can obviously connect and talk and be together with one another. So what's the next, like, what are you and Jason and Temple going to be doing over the next month for sure anyway?
I mean, we're in the studio now. We're just training ourselves and trying to keep ourselves physically and mentally fit. And then hopefully once it's all over, we can start resuming all our classes back up and just getting life back to normal as much as possible. I have some plans for this year to do some stuff. I want to be able to get to a place where I can teach PTs. But it's a qualification that I need to look into, but that's all obviously going to be all dependent on when lockdown ends and how it ends. But yeah, that's something that I would love to go down. I'd love to be able to get to a position where I can teach other trainers to enter the industry. So
yeah, I think it's a wonderful industry, and I can't tell you guys how much that it helped me over my time, you know, working with you guys, and I do miss you guys an awful lot.
same.
And I hope that we can see each other soon. I know as soon as Jason sees me, he's gonna be like, dude, the McDonald's brothers, like you hit too much Mickey D's.
Right. So what are you doing for the rest of the day, Nick?
I'm gonna go get a COVID test, and
Okay.
then what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna eat McDonald's. I'll probably have to get groceries because I think I have to isolate.
There you go.
After you have after a COVID test, so I'm gonna have to isolate. So I'm gonna go get groceries and stock up and make sure I'm
There we
healthy.
go. Stock up your food, and then while you're isolating, you can cook all those meals.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Labonita.
Thank you.
And if you want to give me any contact details that you need, and I'll put them in the Facebook
I will. I'll send them over.
feed if anyone needs to get in touch with you. So thank you. Say hi to Jason for me and give
I
Temple
will do.
a pat on the head. And we'll talk to you
as
soon,
well.
okay?
See you later.
All right.
Take
And thanks
care.
everybody. Thanks everybody that watched on I Love the
you.
Castle Facebook page. See you later, Labonita.
Bye, guys. Bye.
And we'll talk to everybody soon. All right. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.